Asparagus is one of the first plants that greets us in springtime. It's a perennial, which means that once it gets established, the tender spears will return year after year. In addition, its ferny foliage makes an excellent ornamental. Here's how to grow asparagus, from planting through harvest. Asparagus can be grown in most temperate regions, but grows more robustly in cooler areas with long winters. The edible part of the asparagus plant is the young stem shoot, which emerges as soil temperatures rise above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius in spring. The most important thing to know about asparagus is that you really should not harvest it during the first couple of seasons. These plants need to be allowed to get established before you can harvest sustainably. The patience is well worth it though, as asparagus beds can be productive for 15, 20, sometimes up to 30 years. Because asparagus stays productive for so long, it's important to plant the best variety available for your area. If you are starting asparagus for the first time, we would plant 5 to 10 asparagus plants per person, 15 to 30 feet of row. How long does it take to grow asparagus? Newly planted asparagus plants may take 2 to 3 years to truly get started and produce, so patience is needed. After they're established, however, asparagus can be productive for decades. In addition, asparagus plants are fairly fast producers, sending up new spears every few days for a few weeks in the spring. The plant produces 1/2 pound of spears per foot of row in spring and early summer, so we think it's definitely worth the wait. If you want to grow your asparagus plants more quickly, then check out our full spectrum LED grow light. Link is given in the description. Planting. Given that asparagus is a perennial plant that comes back year after year in the same spot, it's important to select a proper planting site where it will thrive. Choose a site that gets full sun, 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight. Place the asparagus bed toward the edge of your garden, where it will not be disturbed by the activity of planting and replanting other areas. Ensure the bed will drain well and not pool with water. Asparagus does not like to have its roots get too wet. If you do not have a site with good drainage available, consider growing asparagus in raised beds instead. Asparagus thrives in neutral to slightly acidic soil, F of about 6.5. Eliminate all weeds from the planting site, digging it over and working in a 2 to 4 inch layer of compost, aged manure, or soil mix. The soil should be loosened to 12 to 15 inches in depth to allow the asparagus crowns to root properly and not be disrupted by rocks or other obstacles. When to plant asparagus? Plant asparagus crowns in the early spring, as soon as the soil can be worked. Many gardeners plant at about the same time as potatoes go in the ground. Asparagus is usually grown from 1-year-old plants called crowns, but it can also be grown from seed. Starting with asparagus crowns, however, eliminates the year of tedious weeding that comes with starting from seed and will speed up production overall. A few varieties, such as open-pollinated purple passion and hybrid sweet purple, can be grown from seed. Start seeds indoors in spring and set out the seedlings when they are 12 to 14 weeks old, just after your last spring frost. Soak seeds in water for up to 24 hours before sowing. Sow seeds in moistened peat or seed-starting soil in flats or peat cups. Once plants reach 12 inches in height, harden them off outdoors for a week. After the last spring frost, transplant the young plants to a temporary garden bed. Once they mature in the fall, identify the berryless male asparagus plants and transplant them to your permanent planting site, removing the less productive female plants. How to plant asparagus. Plant crowns deeply to protect them from the cultivation needed for annual weed control. Dig a trench of about 12 to 18 inches wide and 6 to 8 inches deep. If digging more than one trench, space the trenches at least 3 feet apart. Soak the crowns briefly in lukewarm water before planting. Make a 2-inch high ridge of soil along the center of the trench and place the asparagus crowns on top of the mound, spreading their roots out evenly. Within the trench, space asparagus crowns 12 to 18 inches apart. Once you get to this point, you can follow one of two planting methods: the traditional little by little method or the easier all-at-once method. Little by little method. Once the trenches are dug and the crowns are set out, cover the crowns with compost and topsoil, burying the crowns 2 inches deep. Water in. As the season progresses and spears grow to be 2 to 3 inches tall, add 2 more inches of soil to the trench, being careful not to bury the spears completely. Once the spears again grow through the layer of soil, add an additional 2-inch layer of soil. Repeat this process until the trench has been filled to ground level. Depending on how deep you dug your trench, you may need to add soil 1 to 2 more times throughout the season. After you've filled the trench completely, mound the soil slightly to prevent water from pooling around the emerging spears. All-at-once method. Some gardeners simply fill in the trench with soil and compost all at once. While it's thought that the traditional method results in stronger plants overall, gardeners don't typically have any issues result from the all-at-once method either. As long as the soil is fairly loose, the spears won't have a problem pushing through to the surface. When the trench is filled, we would recommend adding a 4 to 6 inch layer of mulch. The biggest issue with asparagus is managing weeds during the first 2 years. Asparagus should not have its roots disturbed, so you'll need to gently hand pull weeds, taking care not to disturb asparagus roots. Weeds will become less of an issue as the plants fill in. Mulch around the plant with compost or grass clippings to help retain soil moisture and reduce weed growth. During the first 2 years after planting, asparagus plants need 1 to 2 inches of water per square foot per week. If you are not receiving adequate rainfall, you will likely need to water. Use drip irrigation if possible. Harvesting. Skip the harvest in the first year and the second year if possible. Ideally, wait 3 growing seasons before harvesting in order to allow the crowns to become fully established. If you have young plants, the season may last 2 to 3 weeks. However, established plants produce longer, up to 8 weeks. Check your plant every other day for harvest-ready spears. Spears grow quickly and may become too woody before you know it. Once an asparagus spear starts to open and have foliage, it's too tough for eating. Harvest spears when they reach 8 to 10 inches in height and between 1/2 and 3/4 inch thick. Bear in mind that younger, thinner spears will be more tender, so harvest according to your own taste. To harvest asparagus, simply cut the spears with a sharp knife or scissors at ground level. Stop harvesting spears when the diameter of the spears decreases to the size of a pencil. After harvest, fertilize your asparagus in early summer. You can top dress with a balanced organic fertilizer or scatter another inch of rich, weed-free compost over the decomposing mulch. Do not cut down the remaining ferns in summer, or you will ruin your asparagus bed. Allow the ferns to grow and mature. This replenishes the nutrients for next year's spear production. Always leave at least 2 or 3 spears on the plant through the growing season. So guys, that was it for today's video. We will recommend you to watch our next video about how you can grow your garden in just 30 days. We try to explain some simple ways to grow and harvest asparagus. If you liked the video, then subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss an update, because we are always here to help you out. Thank you.